Hello and welcome to Corgi Town, USA. I am Candy. In my lap is Chuckles, our spokescorg.
I am Catherine, and in my lap is just a blanket
And a bunch of fur.
and a bunch of fur. And outside the studio are my two babies, Digby, my corgi, and Calabria, my cattle dog, also known as the honorary corgi.
Yes, and we have Mortimer Barnabas, Tito Bandito, and the newest member of our pack, Gilda, our newest rescue corgi. And you will probably hear them inserting themselves into the conversation. If you're new here, hi and welcome. We do get borked from time to time. It is a dog podcast, but we do have over 140 episodes. We're in our 7th season. Thank you so much for sticking by us if you've been here since the beginning. If you're new here, please let us know what you would like to hear us talk about. We try to be good reference material for dog parents. We're corgi centric, but it's really about having a good life with your dog. Health, training, grooming, traveling, all the good things,
All the
right?
good things, and doggy art and books. And
We have a
wonderful
creator
stuff.
series
Yes,
where we interview people that create pet art. So we're very passionate about what we do here.
yes, we are.
And we have special guests. We're going to talk about socialization, stimulation, doggy daycare today. And some of you may have already been using doggy daycare or maybe considering it for your dog. So we wanted to have a good conversation with some experts in the business.
Yes.
So please welcome Julie and Ashton from Camp Bow Wow. Honored guests, welcome.
Thank
Hello.
you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Let's talk about, I would like to say, hear a little bit, and I know one of you are kind of dealing with a little bit of low voice due to weather changes and things. So we'll go gentle on you, but we'd love to hear about how you got started in this business, where the passion came from.
Sure. Yeah. So I've always rescued dogs and had a lot of dogs of my own in my world growing up. And I was in corporate wellness actually. So I ran corporate wellness centers for over 15 years downtown. And I just needed a change. And that change presented itself to me actually going through like an executive MBA program and it was doing a research paper on franchises, and they assigned me Camp Bow Wow, and I was like, oh, well, here we go. And so here I am today. You know, it's been just over 6 years since we've been open, but it took about a year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It took about a year and a half just to like find the location and get everything going. But my passion from helping and educating two-leggeds to four-leggeds, that was an easy transition for me. I'm so passionate about it. I love it. And I have 5 dogs of my own right now. When I started the business, I had 7, I believe, and
Wow.
gained a few more and lost some over the years, actually. And it's always nice to have multiple dogs. And I met Ashton. She's been with me since before I even opened, actually. And she moved her way up into manager position over the years. So she's just an asset and instrumental to the business as well. She's here more day to day than I am right now, which is really nice. So,
Well, congratulations on the promotion, Ashton.
thank
And
you.
7 dogs, that makes me sound not so crazy.
Yeah.
She's
No,
got
it's
6 right now.
even 5 dogs, more than
Yeah.
you. So there you go.
Yeah, she's got 6. So we always have this little competition thing, I think.
Who
I mean,
can
not
have more?
Yeah. Who can, yeah.
I mean, it's hard. You collect a few and they're great, and then another one finds you and you're like, well, I can't say no to this one, right?
Potato
Yep.
chips. Potato chips.
Yep.
Well, thank you for that background. I want to talk about, so let's talk about stimulation.
Yeah.
So talking about doggy daycare, it's, you guys are experts, you run one. I'm a dog trainer, so I feel like I talk a lot about stimulation. A lot of the dogs that come to me for, I don't want to call them behavioral problems, let's call them undesired behaviors. I try to stay away from good versus bad because that's subjective. But if we're going to talk about a lot of the behaviors that I get called in to address usually stem from either anxiety or kind of sometimes the like kind under stimulation. And I think our lives with everything we have going on, we love spending them with our pets, but often life calls a lot out of us. And so we have to kind of come up with ways to stimulate our pets to where they're not understimulated. And I feel like that's kind of an ongoing challenge. So I would love to talk about that and sort of doggy daycare, if you think that as a tool and kinda touch on that and give us
Yeah.
your flavor.
Sure, yeah. So doggy daycare is great, but again, it's not set for every single dog. Not every single dog will pass our interview. So we interview every dog that comes in here. So yes, they have to wear their little bow tie and fill out their information, which is really fun. But we
Love
do
it.
have to have criteria. They have to be vaccinated. And they have to have a certain collar to come in. We just make sure that they're all comfortable, coming in. And they have to be over 4 months of age, spayed or neutered if they're over 7 months. So that's really important to us because otherwise, that gets a whole nother, probably a whole nother podcast right
Oh,
there
yeah.
on that
Absolutely.
one. Just, um, but yeah, so we do interview them. We do it really slowly in the yard, and that's really important for the socialization because especially if they're starting as puppies and growing into that, casual adulthood, and growing into that environment is really important, especially if they need to travel or go somewhere. But yeah, socialization is definitely important.
Yeah, but, for stimulation, would you think, would you I would say so. Do you think doggy daycare and then we'll talk about socialization, and we'll go into that more. But, for stimulation, like, do
Yeah.
you feel like doggy daycare is a good tool? As a trainer, I would say yes, so long as your dog's right for it.
Yeah. So some dogs like we had talked about, being at home and stuff, they don't get enough stimulation, just laying around. If you're working from home and the dog's just, kind of like hanging out, that doesn't always mean that they're getting all the stimulation that they need, right?
Right.
They can be, like you said, the understimulation and then there's overstimulation.
Mhm.
Right. So the doggy daycare, you learn a lot of that, like, and you get the stimulation. We do enrichments, we do a lot of different enrichments here, so that's really important. And we do the sensory stuff. We do playtime. We do snuffle mats and stuff like that, lick mats. But we make it really interactive where we have like our taste test Tuesday. We have like water parks. And so where we have like smaller groups and stuff so that they get that stimulation and what they need. We have flirt pools, all
I
that
was
stuff.
gonna say for our hunting dogs and stuff, we have flirt poles for
Yeah.
them to burn
Uh,
some extra energy and to burn that stimulation for them as well.
Yeah. That's
And
really
I'm gonna
right.
talk about anybody I feel like most of our audience is pretty up on, what these stimulation tools, but for anybody listening or viewing that's not familiar, a snuffle mat is a piece generally pieces of fabric where you can hide things like treats and kibble in, and the dog has to use their nose and kinda make some choices to, it stimulates them because they're having to basically it's that search and find kind of, thing that you're elevating there. And
yes.
then for lick mats, those are usually silicone, but they're flat with little pieces and slots in them, and then you can put different kinds of things, peanut butter, yogurt, you could even smash, like, blueberries and things in there. And
Yep.
what that does is that activates that kind of OCD, that compulsive need to lick to try to get everything out
Yep.
of every little crevice. So these are different types of mental exercises, and I absolutely love that you guys do that there at your facility, because those are such great tools, and they can really do wonders for a dog that might be having some behavioral concerns because they're just understimulated. They don't know how to communicate that, so it ends up being translated into undesired behaviors. But those are great ways to engage a dog, and the flirt pole I think you would how would you describe that? I always think of, like, a tether ball from, like,
Yeah.
grade school, right? But
Yeah,
for your dog,
Yep. Yep.
essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, those are such great tools, and they're always ones that I tend to recommend to have at home for pet parents, and as we're talking about this, exercise we know is very important, but your dog actually needs several different types of exercise.
Right. And I would say, so this is just a good point to make for our viewers and listeners that have never thought about doing doggy daycare. Oh, I have somebody coming to the house when I go out. That's not the point of it. But if you've never thought about doing doggy daycare, if you just thought it was going and having a babysitter, like a group babysitter or something, it's not. It gives your dog um, something else to do other than just sitting at your feet staring at you.
Well, and then there's other so when you go to a place like this, you're with professionals that recognize dog behavior, can work with dog behaviors, as an instance, you guys that can't bow wow, you're stimulating them. And what I was going into with exercise is that they need mental exercise as well as physical, but they also need social exercise.
Yeah, so can we talk a little bit about the socialization that doggy daycare offers?
So I kind of want to touch on that, what you were talking about, the mental stimulation. So like in the yard, dogs have to be in like in a dog park or in the doggy daycare setting. They have to read other dogs, so they have to use their nose. So what, like, okay, so we met at the networking group, right, Kat?
Yes.
So we're in a networking group and we're constantly meeting and talking to people. And when we're done with like networking groups, especially if you go to multiple ones, they're exhausting because you're talking to a lot of people, you're following up, you mentally get exhausted from being around a lot of people, right? It's just like, oh my gosh, I'm done. The dogs, when they're done with doggy daycare, because they're constantly sniffing new butts to find out, what's your energy level? Do you want to play with me? Do you want to play with me? Oh no, you're the observer. No, you're like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. They're like constantly like pecking on him to try to play. And then just trying to read that behavior and understanding like this dog doesn't want to play. So I'm going to go on to the next dog or vice versa. That is so stimulating, mental stimulating for the dogs. And a lot of times, if you look at cameras, a lot of people will say, oh, but they're just like walking around in a circle or they're just like, there's not much there for them to do. Oh my gosh, but it is so stimulating. They're talking. You just don't always realize it, what they're sniffing and smelling and playing and trying to figure out who they want to play with. And sometimes when they come for the first time, they'll be sitting there in the corner. They're like, I don't know. I don't know who I want to play with. I'm just going to sit here and observe and figure this out. And then the next time they come, they're like, I know where to go. Let's go. Come on, follow me. And they're just like, let's go. So that mental stimulation of being in there, I always like to relate it to like going to a networking group or something because you always
Yeah.
have to, we shake hands, they sniff butts. That's what they do, right?
Well, I love that. It's assessment, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. And that is very mentally stimulating. You were talking about the importance of socialization. And just to touch on this, socialization for your dog, we think about them being social with other dogs. Socialization is a pretty broad
Yeah.
explanation.
Sure.
That essentially is training your dog to be comfortable in a myriad of environments.
Right.
So when you take them to Home Depot to just observe, you take them to pet stores, you take them to doggy daycare, all
Right.
these are types of socialization that you can do.
Yep.
It is important to do it the right way, which is why you have us as a resource. You can reach out to Corgi Town USA. You can also reach out to Camp Bow Wow. Great ways to socialize your dog. But yeah, what you're talking about is assessment. It takes a lot of mental energy to assess. And as humans, if you're in a social networks, I think some people, because you have the introvert, ambivert, extrovert. I
Yeah.
think cats like me, if we go to those events, we get energized.
I get
Like,
jazzed.
yeah,
I could be at
pumps you
networking
up.
events all day. It gives me energy.
Same.
It gives me
Yeah,
absolute energy.
same.
Eric,
Very
my
much more
husband, he's
introverted.
much more introverted. He's absolutely, on it, and he likes to talk one to one to with a person. He's very much focused on just speaking to that one person. I need to be on a stage and in front of a lot of people, and that's where I get my
Haptic
energy.
feedback.
I have to have the feedback. Eric will do one to one, and then at the end of it, he's completely
Done.
exhausted.
Yeah. And that's the ambivert introvert. Introverts, as you were explaining, that introverts, it's like your dog, right? Not some dogs are more introverted versus extroverted, but it's assessment is what tires them out.
Yeah.
When Kat and I were extroverted, we get energy from that. I feel like extroversion is probably more rare than introversion or ambiversion is.
Yeah.
But when it comes to dogs, we just like humans, we make assessments. If we walk into the room, am I safe here? Are these people going to be rude? Are they going to be mean? Is this actually dangerous? Like, could I get hurt? Right? Um, do I have an out? Which is why sometimes leash
Where's your exit?
reactivity. Yeah, leash reactivity is so common because you can't get away. If you're handcuffed to someone, that's going to amp you up a little bit. Ooh, I can't get away if I don't like that situation.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about that, it's all assessment, right? Your butt sniffing, right? All of those activities you were talking about, walking in a circle, these dogs are energy animals and they communicate with body language. So to those of us that work with dogs and recognize behaviors, there's a lot going on there when it comes to assessment. And to your point, as you were saying, that they're assessing the other dog. And I think that's the socialization you were talking about developmentally. Do you know do I like other dogs? Can I read on other cues? I have a rescue right now who very much missed her socialization window, and we're having to do a lot of work to get her to understand her dog on dog social cues. It's gotten her into some trouble, right? Um, because she just doesn't understand that. So we're working on that. But that training is really important. And I think what you do is really important for that. And then starting fundamentally young as soon as they're able to do that I think is a really important thing to learn. And some dogs, like Chuckles, he's my service dog. He's trained to be dog agnostic. Like he likes being around other dogs and people because he really doesn't care. He wants you to throw the ball for him. He really, if the other dog comes up and plays with him, he's like, "Hey, what's up? Let me go get that ball right there." Like he just doesn't care. But then like Tito loves other dogs.
Yeah.
He's afraid of people,
He's
but
afraid of people.
but he loves other dogs. So I love that you're talking about this, and I love that you're what you do as far as engagement and enrichment. And I think that socialization being important, and I think that what you do, have taking your dog to daycare is a great tool for socialization because they learn to assess those cues. And to your point, talking about that being good stimulation for them, just the socialization itself, because they are using all that mental energy, right?
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Because my dogs stay at home with me. I work from home, and my husband works from home. Why would I want to bring my dogs to doggy daycare? What's the point? I mean, I know, but I don't know that
Yeah.
that our listeners. I absolutely know the point.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of
You're asking objectively.
I'm asking on behalf of our listeners. Maybe they stay at home.
Think
Maybe
it's
you
not
have
necessary?
yeah, they
Yeah.
think it's not necessary. They work from home, or
They have a large
one
backyard and they have two dogs and they run around and they play, right?
yeah.
But
So
that's
why?
well,
It,
because I would say like the big backyard and just having a couple of dogs, or I'm at home all the time. That's not socializing them. They're socialized with just that pack. But then if they meet anyone new, it could be a situation. They're not used to doing it, so it can always escalate things, right? Um, but it does keep up that socialization as far as like meeting other dogs, and the calmness, you can work through all of that.
It keeps them comfortable being in the company of other dogs.
Yeah,
Well, but not only that, you guys go out to have fun. Why can't they?
right.
You know?
Yeah,
I love that perspective.
good point.
Yeah, I love that perspective.
yeah. We're going to a concert and we're going into mosh pits. They should too, right? I'm just kidding.
Doggy mosh pit.
Doggy mosh
So
pit,
metal.
It
yeah.
happens. Seriously, it happens.
It has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fun though. Fun. You
I've
get
seen it. Yeah.
trampled.
I've seen it. And I mean, you have different varying degrees of lifestyle, right? And since we're the Corgi Town show, we're Corgi centric. One of the things we like to say a lot is corgis need a lot of stimulation. They're bred to be a working dog. And that's one of the things that we try to educate here on the show about corgis and herding breeds specifically is that they were bred to do work. Most of them are going to be higher energy on the scale, do well and thrive with having a job, and do well being socialized. And if that is not managed or not, intentionally worked with, that can result in a lot of anxiety. And so our dogs, like we do big parties all the time. We have like 30 corgis at Chucky's birthday party every year. We travel all the time. We go to these social events. We do stuff all the time. My dogs
Well,
are stimulated like crazy, but not everybody's like that.
not everybody's like that.
Yeah.
Well, that you actually brought up another question. Can I have a doggy party at Camp Bow Wow?
Yes.
Cool.
Tell us about that.
They would just have to meet our criteria and pass interviews and stuff like that. But yeah, we could.
So what's the criteria?
Yeah.
Well, we have pet parents that bring in, I'll use Peaches, for example. She's a 3-pound Maltese. Her mom brings in like a basket of treats for all the dogs on her birthday that are shaped as like her face and stuff that we get to hand out. And then for staff, she brings like cupcakes and stuff. So we could definitely have doggy parties at Camp Bow Wow.
But to meet those criteria, to like come in here, like if if they haven't been here, they would need to have like their vaccines up to date, all the
Sure.
core vaccines. Flea and tick prevention, obviously, at some point. Um, they would need to and pass the interview. I mean, if they want to go in the yard to have like our parties and stuff, our parties, per se.
Puppies.
Yeah, so they would pass the interview, which is an interview for us. Looks like when we bring the dog into the yard, we let them sniff around up front. Then they go into the yard. We let them sniff everything so they can get used to the sniffs and the smells and everything. Um, and then we'll bring in another dog that is same sex but and similar energy. Just to try to match that energy. So you just never really know who you're going to use that day until that we meet the dog when coming in. So we try to match that play style. What did I just say?
Niche.
Okay. We try to match that play style so that we get a good, vibe. So we're on leash in the beginning. And if everything goes well, we like what we're seeing with the ears, the eyes, the nose, the stance, the tail wags, or the butt wags, because there really isn't a tail sometimes. We look at all the different posturing, and if everything looks good with what we're doing and they really want to meet or they don't really care about each other, kind of a thing sometimes, then we would drop the leashes and watch how they interact, and not just take them off, just drop them. And then we'll take, if that goes well, we'll take out that dog and then we'll bring in another dog, opposite sex, a little different play style, see how they do with that. So if that dog is like chill and we bring in like a really hyper play style, we want to see how they work with that as well. Because some older dogs are like, I'm not dealing with you right now. Like, please, like, are you kidding me? And then some puppies, we're just like, come on, let's go, let's go. So we want to see how they work with that together. Um, and then if that goes well, we'll drop those leashes and take them off. And then we'll bring the first dog back in. Then we slowly create the yard around them. But we do separate our dogs by size and temperament. So we have different yards. We have teacups, mediums, and bigs. So we can separate and balance our yards out, which is really nice.
Great. So you get a
So,
lot of safety protocols. Yeah.
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 Very first and foremost, most important thing.
So it
Yes.
sounds to me like it's not just for babysitting. Doggy daycare is not just for
Yeah.
babysitting.
Not
Right.
at all. Yeah.
Well, what's so
go ahead.
is like if somebody does like, have a pet sitter, sometimes if they do have a pet sitter or a family member watching their dog, we always like to tell them that, you can always still bring your dog. The pet sitter can bring their dog to doggy daycare and that person could go work and not have to worry about the dog sitting at home alone. So we do get a lot of that when we do work with pet sitters, which is really nice. I always like to partner with them. So where they can just drop them off to doggy daycare and then they can go and do whatever they need to do so they don't have to stay there all day with the dog. Or if they have to work, another job, type of a thing, like family members. But the dogs are out playing all day. So they're not like locked up, and
Sure.
confined where some people use bathrooms or crates or, outsides, which is horrible. But yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for going into that for us.
Yeah.
And I would love to ask you this and leave our audience with this. If I'm a pet parent and maybe I've never utilized doggy daycare, never been there, but let's say just for instance, somebody like me, like my dogs are socialized, they're used to other dogs, they're used to all these different environments. What advice would you give when you come in and you have a new pet parent? What do you tell them? This is how you have a good day at doggy daycare. This is how you have a good experience. Give us your tips
Yeah.
and
That's all you.
Okay, so rephrase that for me. So you're asking me like what if
How do we get the best experience? How do I get the best experience out of my doggy daycare? What tips for the pet parents? So if you're like, oh, be sure that they've had a full breakfast or be sure that you've walked, any of those things that you would tell a new parent coming in.
Okay, well, we're really, really strict on a lot of things like their vaccines, but bloat too. So if they do eat an hour, if you're going to have breakfast, yes, to have a good breakfast, because if you're going to play the day away, you want to make sure that you're filled up and not hangry coming
Sure.
in, because dogs do get hangry as well as
Yeah.
people, me. So, that's important, but we do mind the bloat aspect as well. So that it is an hour, after you eat before you can come and play as well. So that's another safety aspect that's really, really important for us. And we're really strict on this. If they give a treat inside before the interview, we might not do the interview depending on the dog and how big the treat is, or if they actually ate it or they just spit it out, because they're anxious. So, but that's important. Make sure they have the right collar on. quick release collar. We don't use martingales in the yards because of the safety aspect of that.
Mhm.
Again, the vaccines. What am I missing on that collar? Um,
Don't put me on the spot.
oh, I'm putting you on the spot. um, and then knowing that they've been socialized before, they've done, they've tried to, unless it's a puppy, but they've been to dog parks or they've introduced to friends' dogs or this dogs, and they've done really well, and they get on leash and everything's good. We have to be able to take the leash from them and take the dog back and stuff like that. Good with men and women, stuff like that. Uh,
So I think one tip would be tell your handlers about your dog, right? Before you bring them to, like, if they resource guard, or again, if they don't like to be handled a certain way, they don't like their ears touched, and like corgis are generally very picky about their paws, you know. If
Yeah.
they don't like big dogs, or they don't like small dogs, or like you said, they don't like women, or they don't like men, like, tell your handlers, right? Would you say
right.
is a good tip?
We have a behavior, sorry, we have a behavior question. So before you come in, that needs to be filled out. So we do ask you like all of those questions, all the, have they been around 8 or more dogs? Can we take the leash from them? Do they thunderstorms? What else is on there?
Thorough, yeah, I
Is
say
Yeah.
your
thorough.
dog
Sure.
uncomfortable with any
Yeah.
Any other
situation?
situation being touched here, your feet, like you said, all those types of things. Those are a lot. We're very detailed with the questionnaires to make sure that we know more, and then more comes up, It's like going to the doctor. You don't always, you sometimes forget some of the things you're going in to talk to them about, right?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I've had this pain in my knee
Yeah.
for
I totally
Well, and
forgot.
I think that's a good sign of a professional, right? That you're being, asked questions that maybe you wouldn't have thought to divulge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's wonderful, and I know that you had at Christmas time, at the holiday time, you had Santa Paws there for pictures.
Yeah.
cute.
Cute. Do you do any other,
Oh my gosh,
um
we have Valentine's Day pictures coming up. We have our
Easter.
passport to Paris coming up. We have Bow Wow Bowl. We have Paw Olympics. This is all Marty Paws. This is all in February.
Oh my.
Yeah, we have a lot going on. So like we do a lot, and there's all other enrichments within there. We have a whole calendar, and that's going to be on our website soon. But January's on there right now. So
Can you
yeah.
participate if you're not a regular or have a membership?
So you don't have to have a membership to come here. You just have to pass the interview and be a camper.
But anybody
Um,
can come in for Santa Claus pictures.
yeah, any of our pictures or our stuff that's up front, anyone can come in for any photo opportunities and stuff, sure. Or grooming. We do grooming as well. So
Oh,
Nice.
cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
hair
Well,
color, nails,
thank
everything.
you so much for sharing all this with us. And we have a pretty big audience on more people listen than watch.
Yeah.
So for those listening, can you please tell the audience how they can get a hold of you? Your website, phone number, email address, however you would like to put out there to contact you.
Absolutely. Our phone number is 602-584-9663, which is WOOF. So 584 WOOF. It's area code 602.
And that's here in Phoenix if you're local or if you're
Or
passing through.
it's in Mesa. Yeah, we're in Mesa. We're borderline Mesa. So we're on baseline in the 101. Our website is campbowwow.com/Dobson hyphen ranch hyphen Mesa. Dobson Ranch Mesa. Oh my God, I totally know the blank
It's
on that.
different when you say it out loud
It is
versus write it
different.
down.
I don't say it a lot actually. But you can always go to campbowwow.com and put in your zip code, and we should pull up if you're nearby. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we have people who listen as far as Germany. So,
Oh,
yeah, our audience is kind of all over, but we also have a lot of friends that travel. So, like our partnership with Pause 48, we tell people you come through Phoenix, come by, hop on a treadmill, come to Camp Bow Wow, do a day at doggy daycare,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. If
I
you
love
wanna look around, if you're traveling through Phoenix, and now is the time that we get a lot of travelers
Yes.
in the winter where everybody else is snowed
in the non-microwave months.
in the non-microwave months, give Camp Bow Wow a call, and you, as tourists to our beautiful city, can go look around and know that your little doggie's in good hands.
Yeah. thank you so much for your time
Yes.
and telling us about your daycare there, and we hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. From Candy and Chuckles, Cat, the whole Corgi committee, the honorary Corgi, Digby as well. We thank you so much. We're here for you every week. All things training, grooming, health of your pet, creator series. We're here to be a resource, all things pet parent and Corgi lifestyle. We'll see you next week.
Bye.